I believe we will touch upon this again because everything is connected. It's a tree. Everything's connected.
Yes.
It's a connected system. But then the other key element of this primary aspect. So the trust was the primary aspect, and belonging was how did you call it?
A core element.
Core element. Another core elements are conflicts. Something that everyone dreads, especially management. Again, from what I've seen, and people generally, it's like not good to generalize on podcasts and do maths on streams.
Yeah.
But it's safe to say that people generally want to avoid conflicts. Yet we have this as a core element, and I want to know why.
I would argue with you that you might not be one of the people who dreads conflicts. Again, it depends on how we define conflict. But people want to avoid bad conflict, and people, when they hear the word conflict, they imagine fighting with someone with bad emotions attached to it. But actually, conflict is what we actually tell to teams is conflict is not a bad thing. Conflict is a good thing. Conflict is merely if you define it in this way and you start looking at it in this way, conflict is basically two or more different points of view on the same thing. You can't have a good movie without a conflict. So you can't have a good team without a conflict. How you handle conflict is what differentiates a great team from a bad team. And again, yes, for example, with Pat Lencioni's model, 5 dysfunctions of a team, the number 2 from the pyramid at the bottom is fear of conflict. And yes, people do fear conflict because they cannot handle it well. And we've worked with teams, and a lot of the teams, they're feeling... So when there is lack of psychological safety, or when the team climate is not good enough, people avoid expressing their opinions when it differs from the others. This is actually something that we ask people in the team scan product. So it's the statement, I feel safe expressing my opinion when it differs, or something like that. It was I'm rephrasing the statement, but there are a lot of people who are not feeling safe. This is an indicator again of it's not that great of an environment. So the first aspect of conflict is actually whether you see it, whether it is visible to others. So you might think one, I might think another. Is this visible to the team? This is the first level of having a good team conflict, to see it actually. A lot of teams are poor in seeing this. So you have one vocal person saying one thing, another vocal saying another thing, and nobody else speaks.
Yeah.
Although they might have a third or the fourth opinion. And then what do you do with these differences, these disagreements? Great teams are quick to first diverge in opinion. So they're looking for this conflict. They're mining. There is even a phrase, mine for conflict. They're trying to get it out, to see it, to see all the different opinions. But they're also great in, is it converging, I think? To go back.
Towards common goal.
Yeah. So you the great thing about conflicts is how to first see the differences. Second, how to make it positive in terms of conversation. And third, how to reach a common solution where everyone, and here is the issue with most teams. Most teams are looking by default, they don't have a decision-making approach, and they're looking for consensus. So they're looking for resolving conflicts through everyone agrees we should go that way. And this makes them slow.
Yeah.
And this makes them dread conflicts because they're thinking, okay, the next meeting is going to be 2 hours. We're going to hear Ivo and Rado again, and I will not be able to join in the conversation. Even if I join, we are not going to have a solution, so let's not bother with that at all. And here the challenge is to make a decision-making approach where everyone is actually committed to or has consent. Okay, I might disagree with that solution, but I'm actually okay following this. And that's where a lot of teams are poor. They don't have a way to to converge.
What you said, people dread conflict because it stops everything until there is a reached consensus by everyone, which may take quite some time and quite some energy. And when you are pushed for results, you know that this will affect you in other ways, and that's why I think this is why generally people in software teams dread and avoid conflict. And usually, what you have is the most vocal folks on the team are the ones pushing forward. What you say is conflict is good, but you should have some kind of a framework that helps you resolve, which is not necessarily consensus. It's not necessarily everyone agreeing on this, and I believe this is fundamental, like a fundamental shift in mindset when you're thinking about teams, because sometimes people are thinking about teams and like everything's great and everyone agrees with each other and everyone hugs each other, where reality is more often people don't agree with each other, but the fact that they're in a team structure with a common goal, as you said, and they have a way to resolve this that's not necessarily consensus, helps them move forward and not lose speeds and other things like team members. So I think this is very well said.
Yeah, and here two aspects I want to gather. So what you mentioned about hugs and positivity and so on. So if you have a great team climate, it doesn't mean it's positive all the time. People are not happy all the time. Great psychological safety means that people don't have masks, that they feel safe to express themselves, that they feel safe to take interpersonal risks. So if I do that, I know I might make a mistake, but people will not finger point me. Yeah, you were wrong. So there is also a lot of drama. There is a lot of clashes. So it's expected to have that. And regarding the conflict aspect, so why also people don't like to what happens if you don't deal with conflict properly? And I'll go back and connect it to the belonging. If you have a person who says, guys, I have an idea, and you interrupt this person, or you just say, that's not going to work. So from one aspect, I say, yeah, it's great to clash. It's great to disagree. At the same time, if you disagree in a bad way, you send unbelonging cue. Your opinion doesn't matter to us. And when your opinion doesn't matter to us, if it happens a few times, people will detach.
Yeah, and they'll stop bothering.
Yes, and if you have people who are silent during meetings, and I'll go to the communication element of the trust. Most team communications are not structured, and people, when they hear structure, they're thinking of boring and mechanic and so on. No, structure doesn't mean that there is no flow. Structure means that there is way to hear everyone's opinion when they have it. If you have a silent voice, and most teams, again, they don't bother trying to look for this silent voice. When you ask a person, I haven't heard your opinion about that. What do you think? This is a belonging cue, because, again, your opinion is valuable to the group. I want you involved. And this is a simple thing that most tech leaders or facilitators of team discussions don't do. When you do that, people feel they belong. People, and this is regarding conflict, there is a notion that people, when they disagree, they want to win. No, people don't want to win. People want to be heard and their opinion taken into account. And a lot of the times, because of back structure of communication, people don't feel heard. And whether you've heard me doesn't mean that I think you've heard me. There is quite a difference. And that's why if you structure your conversation in such a way that people feel heard, they'll be more committed, and there will be easier way to move from consensus to consent, from I disagree to I disagree and commit. If you haven't heard me, there is no way. Even if you tell me, commit to this, you're part of the team, you should commit. No, this is something I should choose. And you should be, again, going back to the belonging, you should create the right environment for me to commit easily. And at some point, I will feel attached to the team and will not tell you, I don't want to be burned in the future when you want to fire me. Because you will also be attached to me.